And you're welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. Moving on to the focus for today, security agencies are perfecting strategy to ensure that Wednesday's peaceful protest called by the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress does not get out of control or hijacked by hoodlums. Organized labor is pressing ahead with the strike action and protest after its negotiation with the federal government on how to deal with the effects of the fuel subsidy removal broke down. To have this conversation with us this morning is Comrade Fidelis Ede. He's a lawyer, a farmer, and a former labor leader. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. My privilege.
All right, let us start by looking, taking a review of, the demands that has been put on the table of the federal government by the NLC as regards to the effect the, fuel subsidy removal is having on the average worker, the average Nigerian. They have made such demands, some demands such as, an increase in pay, salaries, minimum wage, and if possible, a reversal of that, subsidy removal, maybe to an after time when there has been more stability and people can adjust easily. However, I want to know how you react to these demands.
Well, let me start this way that listening to the President of the Federal Republic address yesterday, there is nothing NLC has demanded the President didn't even acknowledge in terms of the economic hardship, even before the removal of the fuel subsidy. So what I think is the challenge is that government must move away from the old order of attack and defeat as a way of conciliation. The President's address conveyed first a feeling of concern and acknowledgement of the hardship Nigerians are going through. So it calls for empathetic orientation, and if you are aware, it's just like you can't beat a child and tell that child not to cry. So if the government is aware about the hardship, and mind you, before now, organized labor has always had outstanding issues as regards demand and welfare of workers, not just the NLC. Whether you look at the medical sector, the academic sectors, there have been rollover demands. So what government needs to do now is to change orientation in approach. It is not trying to use the same old tactics of suppression. You are standing on a man's feet, the man said, spreading him, and you are saying better without removing the weight that is the source of the pain. So to that extent, I think that the government ought to see the NLC protests are just awareness generating, something that also, because the government need organized labor also to succeed. Without organized labor, I heard you make reference to some Nigerians as hoodlums. These are borrowed profiling, which we have borrowed from capitalist classification of certain human elements. Because who we choose to be if he had had a good civic orientation, had had education, and had had employment. So we must stop classifying Nigerians who have been left off the development pattern, that is the human development trajectory. And at a point we'll begin now to define them as if they are not unfit to be part of our society. The Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs ought to look at this level. I don't like anybody being denigrated. I don't like any person created by God, you know, just because he has not found himself in the matter of progress. We now think that the faith they are suffering was brought by their own not being able to cope. I don't think that is part of why we have even lost the human element in us, that if you look at anarchy in Nigeria, you know, if you look at the Southeast, what we are going through with the insecurity, challenge of unknown gunmen and all that, you will begin to say, are these people not human? How have they been society? But that is not the discussion now. So I believe that what them need to do is to genuinely engage organized labor. And if they do that, it will also be an education platform. Because if you hold a meeting with stakeholders and the leaders of organized labor, and they are satisfied with what you have put on the table, what they will do is to communicate them to the structures they lead. So if the NLC have not found meaning, which I agree with them, with the approach of government, you know, that the point is that government must acknowledge that it is not just this government, the Tinubu's government, that created this carryover of frustration, betrayal, and the hardship Nigerians are going through. Before now, you know that the AGO, which is diesel, has been deregulated over time. And nobody is bothering about how ruralized those in the rural communities that constitute over 70% of Nigerians have been finding their energy means to cook. It's just the fuel thing. If you talk about AGO, which is diesel, that is the engine of production. It has long been deregulated. And it is also the reason for the unstable and high price of things in Nigeria. Because you can't talk about industry, you can't talk about production without the private sector. I had the president acknowledge the private sector, but they need diesel to be able to power production. But this is what Nigerians seem not to have noted. And we are not talking about PMS. So I am saying that what government needs to do is to genuinely change their approach and deal with the trade union movement in a manner that government must be seen to be genuine and to be sincere. But one thing the government also needs to do, given the tiers of government, is that you will discover that most times the federal government gets sorted out their level. When government talks about palliative, when government talks about salary increase, they are just talking about their own employees. They are talking now as the federal government as an employee, and when it does any adjustment, what you find is for the federal, those in their own employment, government must genuinely, as now government as a collective, ensure that whatever government agrees, that the state government must implement with sincerity, that the local government must implement with sincerity, because part of the dislocation and the dysfunctional method we found is that once the federal government sorts out its jurisdiction, the state returns to begin to play politics, and the local government that is in an appendage of the state government does nothing. So I think there must be a review. And let me say this: is it not shocking that today Nigeria does not have a national scheme for wage? There is no wage policy in Nigeria. And that is why you can have the National Assembly wake up to award to themselves whatever they choose. You can have the executive, those that are political appointees, allocate whatever they choose. So when you look at relativity, what we call wage relativity, you can find a semblance between what, for instance, a legislature is earning and maybe a university professor is earning. We need a wage policy, because it's not enough to say that things are hard.